Hello everybody, I hope everybody's been well, hope you guys have all been healthy and out there collecting as always. I know it's been a little bit of a while, but here we are in the new year, 2022. I've been seeing a lot of people posting videos, listing their choices for their top picks in 2022 of what they want to see in Marvel Legends. And I've been commenting my picks on all of these, but I just definitely wanted to get a video out there, putting my picks out and seeing if any of you guys agree with these as well. So I'm going to be doing this a little bit differently. I'm going to be making three lists, three top 10 lists that is. The first one being top 10 comic re-releases / repaints that I want to see made. Second list being the top 10 MCU figures that I want to see made. And the third list being the top 10 comic-based first-timers. And at the end, my hope for what will be the next Haslab Project. So thank you guys for tuning in. I don't want to take too much of you guys' time, so let's get right into it. Here are my three lists of my most anticipated and desired Marvel Legends for 2022. So number one for me will have to be a Valkyrie. We did get an updated Valkyrie in, oh man, I can't even get her to stand. I think it was the Hulkbuster wave that came out some time ago in the form of her. This is a great figure, of course, very well articulated. This, even from day one, was kind of a letdown. Now this is actually my preferred look for a Valkyrie, so I would definitely prefer an updated version of this, probably utilizing the same body as the Hulkbuster wave version, just with the classic style with, you know, the legless uniform, the blue cape, and of course this particular hairstyle. So definitely want a new Valkyrie. Moving on to number 9, my pick is going to be an updated Daredevil. Now I have no complaints with Daredevil being on the Bucky cap mold. I actually think it works very, very well. I've never thought Daredevil was a particularly big, bulky guy. That being said, I do think this kind of is underscale. In my opinion, I would love to see Daredevil built on, I believe this is the Sunfire body, but using this body right here. Now, another one that could work would be the body that was actually used on the Retro Wave, and it was like an armored Daredevil. That'll work too if it was just retweet. There was a custom that I saw recently, and that looks really, really good to me. If they use that body, that'll be really, really nice. I would have no problem with that, but I think this body or something like this will be a little more fitting towards Daredevil. Let's keep it going. At number 8, I have a classic Luke Cage. Now, we do have updated Luke Cages that have come out recently, primarily in his Thunderbolts look. But for me, when I think of Luke Cage, believe it or not, this is the look that comes to my mind. So I would definitely love an updated classic Luke Cage, you know, with his very loud yellow blazer, the tiara thing, the gauntlets, the big chain. Not sure what body they would use, you know, to go ahead and execute this, but they have ample amounts of large bodies to use, and I think they can definitely pull this off. This has always been a great figure, even since day one. He still holds up, in my opinion, just not very close, unfortunately. But we definitely need an updated version of the classic Luke Cage, and while you're at it, Hasbro, go ahead and give us a more modern Luke Cage as well. At number 7, staying in the theme of my backdrop, I would like an updated classic Beta Ray Bill. Now, of course, I'm an Asgardian fan. Thor is my favorite character, so you're gonna see a lot of Asgardian characters on these three lists. Now, this figure still holds up. He looks very well in my current Asgardian display, but I would definitely like an updated version. We did get the one that came out in, what was that, the Smart Hulk wave, I believe, and that was a more contemporary look. Still a good look, but I would definitely like an updated classic Beta Ray Bill. At number 6, continuing with the cosmic theme, here we go. We have the mighty Thor. This is my favorite Thor figure of all time. This is my favorite Marvel Legend of all time. All I would want is for a re-release of this character in his classic Jack Kirby colors. Primarily, of course, the main differences are the cape will be a lot more red, a lot more vibrant, I should say. And the discs, instead of the white, they would have to be the light blue. And instead of the black shirt, it'll have to be a blue. Dark blue, that is. Darker than this, of course. Other than that, not too many changes. Maybe even a new head sculpt. A head sculpt that looks a little more like the Jack Kirby style. I think that'll be pretty cool. I don't think that'll be too much to ask for. We are getting the clone Thor, Ragnarok, that came out in the Civil War story, and I'll definitely be picking that up as well, but I was kind of hoping that will be an opportunity for a classic Thor in his classic colors to go with my classic Avengers. At number 5, we haven't left the Cosmos yet, you guys. Adam Warlock. I definitely would love a classic Adam Warlock. I'm not too particular on what body I would like to see it, but definitely a good build. for Adam Warlock, not too big, but definitely a fit guy. I think the Bucky Cap mold will serve well, but you know, I think we're moving past the Bucky Cap mold. We do have the new mold that was released, or not released, announced on that last live stream, and this is an updated, more contemporary Adam Warlock. But of course, I would like a classic Adam Warlock. Of course, especially with the recently released, or the one that came out last year, the Thanos. This is a very, very classic, iconic Infinity Gauntlet looking Thanos, and he looks very good next to Adam Warlock. I would just love to have him updated. And at number 4, Toad. Now I think this guy is pretty much due for an upgrade desperately, more so than any other figure on my entire list. However, this figure still holds up very nicely. However, aesthetically, he does not fit in with a current display. I mean, that being said, he was never that great of a figure when it came to articulation, but he did display pretty nicely. You can see all the detail within him. But this is literally wave 1 of Marvel Legends, and we have not gotten an updated Toad since then. Can you believe that? So definitely, by definition, in my opinion, I think that this guy is long overdue. Now, with the releasing of the throwback, what is it, 20-year anniversary Marvel Legends that are supposed to be reminiscent of that very first wave, I have a very good feeling we're going to be getting him. Although he's not as iconic as those 3, I'm hopeful. Let's hope we get him, guys. Coming in at number 3, another cosmic character. We need an updated Kree, you guys. So we're getting a updated scroll for our army builders. It's going to be coming in that that new style that they've done for the Hydra and the AIM soldiers, where it's just a $15 figure for an army builder. I love that. I'm definitely going to be getting some of those scrolls, but with those, we should definitely be getting an updated Kree soldier. This guy still holds up nicely. He looks pretty good, but we need an updated version, of course, especially to go with our brand new scroll army. Moving on to number 2, I think it's been a crime that we have not gotten an updated version of this character, the Mandarin. This, believe it or not, is an enjoyable figure for me. I do have fun doing what I can with this figure. I notice I can't say I'm posing this figure because he, of course, is completely not posable at all, although he is fully articulated underneath. The whole robe thing is made out of thick rubber. We can't do anything with it. But even if that was not the case, we need an updated version of the Mandarin. I think we should have gotten it way back when Iron Man 3 came out, but we didn't. And now Shang-Chi, spoiler, has, of course, the Mandarin in it. Or at least Trevor. But either way, the Mandarin is to Iron Man what the Joker is to Batman. We absolutely need an updated Mandarin. And finally, at number 1, the figure that I think deserves the update more than any other figure is Bucky Barnes. Oh yeah, classic Bucky Barnes from World War II. This is a good representation of what we call the Hasbro Dark Ages. You know, it came out, I don't remember what year, but it's a perfect representation of the poor paint jobs, the poor sculpt, the poor articulation, and really, really is underwhelming. But I've been wanting to do a lot of classic World War II displays with my new 80th anniversary Captain America, and especially with the new Captain America that's going to be coming out. But I can't do it with this guy. He doesn't look good. Not with, you know, the updated figures that are out nowadays. I think if you really wanted to, you can also release him in a 2-pack, maybe with a re-release of another Captain America featuring him in his World War II look, or his first appearance look rather. So I definitely want an updated Bucky. If you release him in a 2-pack with Captain America, I think that'll work because I would also like first appearance Captain America. But at number 1 is Bucky Barnes. Moving us right along, up next we're going to do the MCU picks I've made for 2022. At number 10, it's going to be an armored Heimdall. We did get the Ragnarok / Infinity War look of Idris Elba Heimdall, but that was, of course, you know, a lighter look. I definitely want the more iconic armored look with Heimdall. At number 9, I'm going to ask for the Other. Now, the Other is kind of an obscure choice, but I've always wanted to be able to display my Loki and even my Ronan the Accuser talking with the Other out on an asteroid in the cosmos. And we've never gotten the figure. I think he definitely deserves a figure, especially if we got the Black Order. I think we can get the Other. Next up, I'm going to ask for Whiplash from Iron Man 2. Now, this one is a give or take because I would either want his more casual look, or casual is the wrong word to use, but his lighter look that he used to attack Tony at the racetrack, as well as the fully armor version that we saw at the final battle. Maybe they could work in a 2-pack similar to the Obadiah Stane and Ironmonger 2-pack, but either way, I think we're long overdue for a Whiplash figure, so definitely a Mickey Rourke Whiplash from Iron Man 2. Next up, I'm going to ask for Malekith. Malekith is a very important villain to Thor. I actually like Thor the Dark World quite a bit, and now this could be an easy swap for Dark Elf army builders. Exactly how the Red Skull figure that was released in the first 10 years line was interchangeable with both the Red Skull as well as just a common Hydra soldier. Now that release is very underrated. We got 4 interchangeable head sculpts for that. That's unheard of these days, but 4 interchangeable head sculpts with the Hydra figure, the Red Skull Hydra figure, and we had all sorts of display options. I definitely like to see the same thing done with Malekith. Give us a Malekith head sculpt, and definitely give us some head sculpts of some common Dark Elves. And that being said, if you release this, maybe you can do a 2-pack release with a curse as well. So just food for thought. Anyway, Malekith. Next up on my list, I'm asking for Hank Pym. Yes, kind of an odd choice, but I figure if we got Luis from Ant-Man, we should definitely get Hank Pym. Nothing against Luis, but for crying out loud, if we got him, how have we not gotten Hank Pym? But Hank Pym, I think, would be a very easy release. You can pack him in with a 2-pack, perhaps with a Bill Foster figure. I wouldn't mind getting Lawrence Fishburne in Marvel Legends style. That'd be pretty cool. But I also wouldn't mind him in just a single release. But when it comes to all the common folk that we've gotten in Marvel Legends, I definitely think Hank Pym should be one of the releases. Next up, I think this one's pretty overdue. I'm going to ask for an Abomination. Definitely a very cool design for Abomination. Arguably, not everyone liked The Incredible Hulk like I do, but I love the movie. I thought it was very, very well made. It's kind of, the forgotten child of the MCU, especially with the recasting of Mark Ruffalo. But I still like the movie, and I've always wanted to have a really cool Abomination Marvel Legend figure. That being said, if you release him, I think it might be a good idea to release him with a Hulk based on Ed Norton's look. The only Ed Norton Hulk that we've gotten was way back when this figure came out. And he's currently, I do own this figure, and he is currently in my MCU collection, but I definitely would like an updated Hulk, so this one's another 2-for-1, but mainly Abomination, and perhaps we can get an updated Edward Norton Hulk while we're at it. Next up, I'm asking for Frost Giants. Thor 1 is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I've always wanted to have some 6-inch scale Frost Giants to create a display of that battle scene at Jotunheim. I do have quite a few of the 3 3/4-inch releases that came out at the time of the movie, and they're fine. They're not the greatest articulated figures, but they look cool when assembled all together and posed with my figures. But I definitely want a Frost Giant, and I think it's a no-brainer to give it a Laufey head sculpt with interchangeable common soldier Frost Giant heads to be able to army build this guy as well. I'm thinking maybe about 8 inches tall, because the Frost Giants, of course, were not that big in the movie. So to remain screen accurate, I think about an 8-inch tall figure should do fine. Coming in at number 3, we're going to hold off on number 3 for just a little bit. You'll see why. At number 2, this one's going to be kind of an odd choice, but I'm going to ask for Batroc. Hope I'm saying that right. I've actually, believe it or not, I've actually always kind of liked that fight scene, and I felt like I've always wanted a Batroc figure in this form to be able to create that fight scene with. Captain America the Winter Soldier is one of the best movies in the MCU. I absolutely adore it. And I've always wanted to be able to create this scene. And, we do have a comic version of Batroc, but I would definitely like an MCU version of him as well. And I think it'd be kind of cool to have a Marvel Legends George St. Pierre while we're at it. So definitely Batroc for me. Number 1 for MCU releases in 2022, I'm going to ask for the Chitauri. Oh yeah, how have we not gotten the Chitauri in a 6-inch scale by this time? We are in desperate need of a Chitauri. But that being said, I'm also very afraid of this release, because if they do release the Chitauri, I will absolutely go gangbusters on army building the hell out of that thing. I think a cool way to release this would be in a single carded version, if we wanted to keep one in the package, of course. Maybe give it a cool backdrop, but definitely in that army builder style that they've done on Hasbro Pulse, where it's just $15, no fancy packaging, just the figure itself in a plastic bag. That'll work for me. But definitely make this one in abundance, because me, myself, I'm going to buy a lot of them, and I guarantee you a lot of people will buy this as well. Okay, and now moving on to the final list, and what is in my opinion the most exciting one, we're going to ask for the characters that have never been made into Marvel Legends ever. Now, maybe some version of these characters might have been made in a different line, maybe Marvel Select, or maybe a 3 3/4 version of these characters, but never in a iconic, definitive Marvel Legends 6-inch style form. We have never gotten these characters ever. So starting off with number 10, I'm going to be asking for a Scourge the Executioner. Now, we did get this character in a 3 3/4 inch style some years back in a 2-pack with the Enchantress. And then we also did get this guy in a MCU release, but we're talking about a comic style, comic accurate Scourge the Executioner. Now, there's a number of bodies that I can imagine this figure being made on. The Terrax body, or perhaps maybe even the Omega Red body. Perhaps even the one that was used on the new Retro Venom figure that came out. Either way, I want this guy to be massive, bulky, and if he was to be released, I wouldn't mind him being released with another Amora the Enchantress in the style of a 2-pack. But if you do that, please update that head sculpt on the Amora. We could definitely use a new one. So at number 10, Scourge the Executioner. At number 9, my pick is going to be Mangog. So Mangog is a pretty reoccurring and pretty frequent enemy of Thor. Of course, you know me, I'm a Thor fan, so the more enemies of Thor I can get, the better. And Mangog is one of the most powerful, most menacing, and what I think is a great candidate for a very well-made figure. Big, bulky, and of course he'd have to be either a deluxe figure or a Build-A-Figure, but definitely a Mangog for me. At number 8, I'm going to ask for the Stone Men from Saturn. These are the enemies that Thor battled in the very first appearance of Journey into Mystery. And I think these will be well made if made out of maybe a Thing figure with a different head sculpt, maybe a different torso piece. But I think it can also be interchangeable, or they can use the body that they used to make this figure and repurpose it to make a Korg figure in the Planet Hulk appearance. So, Stone Men from Saturn, this is also another potential army builder for myself or any other Asgardian fans who want to, you know, put a few of these against their mighty Thor and recreate that iconic first appearance cover. And then, of course, we can get a Cronin as well, or Korg. At number 7, don't make him angry. You wouldn't like him if you were angry. But I'm going to ask for Bruce Banner at number 7. Now, there have been a couple of kit bashes that have made a pretty nice looking Bruce Banner, but of course I would definitely love an official Bruce Banner to go with my Hulk display, and there's a lot of possibilities there for interchangeable parts. Of course, maybe a head and or neck that feature his skin turning green with some veins popping out, maybe a hand or two that are like mid-transformation and kind of like transforming from the hands into or human hands into a Hulk hands, maybe a torn up shirt, all sorts of different things. But definitely, if we're going to be getting a Bruce Banner, Hasbro should definitely give us the options to give us a very neutral Bruce Banner, as well as a mid-transformation, or at least the beginning stages of a transformation into the Hulk version of him. So yeah, number 7, Bruce Banner. Number 6, I'm going to ask for Lava Men. Now, the Lava Men are kind of a forgotten enemy of the Avengers. They made primarily their most significant appearances in those early Avengers comics with Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, but I enjoy reading those stories quite a bit. Avengers number 5 is one of my favorite stories because it features all 6 of the Avengers kind of working together to take down the Lava Men, but I just found it very odd that we've never gotten an action figure of the Lava Men ever, especially not in Marvel Legends. So it's a classic villain, and I would definitely like some Lava Men to go with my classic Avengers. At number 5, I'm going to ask for General Thunderbolt Ross. Yes, arguably the Hulk's biggest villain. Definitely the most longest lasting villain, anti-villain, whatever you want to call him. But he is definitely a very important part to the Incredible Hulk storyline. If you give us a Thunderbolt Ross, I'm not sure exactly how you can make him, but I would definitely like him. And of course, you know, a traditional general uniform. Not necessarily too many things will be needed for him. I would just think maybe two interchangeable head sculpts, one of him shouting, one of him grinning, I'm not sure. But General Thunderbolt Ross, maybe even releasing a 2-pack with Betty Ross too. But of course, this will also be, you'll be able to kill two birds with one stone with this one as well. Because not only will you have your Thunderbolt Ross to go and terrorize the Hulk, but of course you can also have him posing, turning into the Red Hulk or something. So definitely General Thunderbolt Ross. At number 4, I'm choosing Aunt May. That's right. Of course, when it comes to Spider-Man and Peter Parker, Aunt May is a very, very important character. And now we have our Peter Parker figure, we have our Gwen Stacy, our Mary Jane. I think it's only fitting that we start, getting more characters that will be able to fill out that entire street level and civilian life of Peter Parker. I would definitely have lots of ideas to be able to do with Aunt May, but I have no idea how they can pull this figure off. Of course, with Aunt May, you're probably going to have her in a long dress. I don't know if that's going to be, made out of plastic, or if you want to maybe introduce some fabrics into the line, but I'm going to leave that to the professionals. But definitely on Aunt May, kind of an odd choice, I know, but definitely one for me. At number 3, my pick is going to be Heimdall. Heimdall is another very important character in the Asgardian lore, a very good friend of Thor, and another integral character to an Asgardian display. Now, what I've been using lately to kind of fill in as my Heimdall is my Boar figure that came in the Comic-Con exclusive box sets. This body could work as Heimdall. I'd like Heimdall to be huge. As gatekeeper of the Golden Palace, Asgard, he should definitely have a type of command presence, and I think this body will work very, very well. Or another body of this size, because the articulation on this figure is quite outdated. But this figure looks incredible. I've always loved this Boar figure, and I've swapped out his weapons to kind of look like it's Heimdall standing guard at the Rainbow Bridge. So if Hasbro were to literally just use his body and give it a different head sculpt with a fur cape to make it look like Heimdall, I'd be happy with that, as long as I get a Heimdall, really. But the one thing that I'll ask for Heimdall would be 2 interchangeable heads. One, a more classic head sculpt with just his face underneath, a grimacing look, of course, and a second head sculpt with that really cool thing that they've done in more recent books, where instead of a face underneath his helmet, it's kind of like a cosmic void. And that just really makes it look like he's using his power of all sight, and it just looks really, really cool. So definitely 2 head sculpts with Heimdall, but that's what I would love. Very unlikely. I think of all my picks, I think this is the most unlikely one, but also quite easy to do. So Hasbro, Heimdall. At number 2, most certainly, I would definitely love a Balder the Brave. Balder is a very, very long-lasting character with the Thor continuity. He's a very important character, a very good character, very powerful, and I would definitely love to finally add him to my Asgardian display. We have never gotten the Balder figure in any form whatsoever. I think maybe the Hero Clicks or something might have made a Balder, but never before has there ever been a Balder figure made in the Marvel style. Now, that being said, I don't know what kind of body I think Balder will be best suited for, but I think he should definitely be tall. The Bucky Cap mold is an absolute no-go. The Sunfire body mold is probably not the best for it either. But I think maybe they can reuse some of the Hercules body, but he should definitely be a big guy that should look good standing next to Thor and the rest of the Asgardian fellowship that they have. So definitely number 2, Balder. I have been desperate for a Balder since day 1. Please, Hasbro, let's get a Balder the Brave. And at last, coming in at number 1 of my most desired Marvel Legend figures that have never been made, number 1 at my entire list for this video, and my absolute dream Marvel Legends. We've never gotten these. Every single year, every single stream that they have been making, Hasbro of course, I have always had my fingers crossed, hoping that they would announce these guys. And every time I go see someone like Shartimus Prime or Bug Nice or a Bug ACBA nowadays, or even the Foosh, when they go and interview the Hasbro team, I'm blowing up the chat rooms asking for these characters, because I'm actually going to break my rule here. I'm going to put more than one character on my number 1 slot. It's not one character, it's actually a team, because you cannot give us one of these characters without giving us the others. So at number 1, my absolute dream Marvel Legends, and the ones that I'm hopeful for, especially this year with a new Thor movie coming out, that this is the year we finally get them. So here we go. At number 1, it's going to be... oh yeah, here they are, the Marvel Legends Warriors 3. I wish. But please, Hasbro, I have been desperately wanting the Warriors 3 in official Marvel Legends form. We have never, ever, ever gotten the Warriors 3, not in Marvel Select, not in Marvel Legends, not even in Marvel Universe. But the only offerings we got for the Warriors 3 were way back in 2010 when they were releasing figures for the first Thor movie, and they released 3 3/4 inch figures of their movie counterparts. Now those are cool. I have those 3, and I'm happy to have at least something to do with the Warriors 3 in my collection. But most definitely, I would love a classic Warriors 3 to go with my Asgardian characters, especially with my Mighty Thor. Now these are customs that I have had for a very long time. But that being said, I think these are going to be the characters that I spend the most time talking about because they are my dream Marvel Legend. If I can't have any new Marvel Legends, I would at least love to have these 3. Now, here are a couple ideas that I have. For Hogan, I think a bulkier body would fit him nicely. Whoops, here I am getting too excited, knocking over my camera. But for Hogan, I think a bulkier body would suit him nice. Perhaps... maybe the Hyperion body mold, which in my opinion needs to go, but if we get him in the Hyperion body mold, you know, that'll work. I've always thought that could be a good body for Hogan. And or maybe the body that's used for the Unworthy Thor, maybe even for Rage. Because I should note that I want my Asgardians to be tall. My Asgardians are tall people. They're gods. And I definitely don't want to see a god made by the Bucky Cap mold or anything like that. So definitely for me it's going to be you know, a big bulkier body like Rage or Unworthy Thor for Hogan. For Fandral, I think the wolf cap body that was used for like characters like the classic Loki, I think that'll work well for Fandral. Maybe not so much because he shouldn't be that buff, but he's supposed to be very agile and dashing, as they call him. He should be able to run fast, but the Captain America body mold I think will work very well for Fandral, or at least something of that size. And then finally, for Volstagg, I think they can use the Kingpin body mold. Definitely the legs, you know, readjust the torso and the belly, give him a bigger belly, and we rework a lot of parts, but he definitely has to be a big, bulky guy. This is a Blob Build-A-Figure, and that got turned into, of course, a Volstagg, and he fits nice. He's a little bit too big, but he fits pretty nicely. So, anyway, in case you can't tell, I get very excited when talking about the Warriors 3 being made into Marvel Legends, and they are absolutely my number 1, and if I can't have anything else, I would definitely love the Warriors 3. And of course, to bring it all around, number 3 for my top 10 MCU pick was, of course, an MCU version of the Warriors 3. Yes, at this slot, it's going to be the Warriors 3 from the first Thor movie, and maybe even the Dark World, because, of course, there was a recasting of Fandral. I forgot the first guy's name, but he was recasted with Zachary Levi, if I'm saying his name correctly, who, of course, you may know as Shazam. But maybe an interchangeable head sculpt for the 2 of them. That'd be a smart thing to do. But Warriors 3, definitely them. And as promised, what I would like to see Hasbro's next Haslab project to be, believe it or not, it's not another character, it's not another 100-foot tall villain, but instead, what I would like to see Hasbro do for a Haslab project is a new Helicarrier. I have no idea how they're going to be able to pull this off, but I don't think about that kind of thing when I make these decisions. I don't think about the logistics when buying figures. I just want the damn things in my collection, of course. But definitely one that is suitable for either comic book style or MCU. If they were to do an MCU style Helicarrier, I'll take it, but if they do a comic book version, I'll also take that as well. This is a Comic-Con exclusive Helicarrier that came out many years ago. It does the job pretty well in displaying, you know, of course, with your Marvel Legends. Of course, it's not in scale. It works pretty well with your 3 3/4 inch figures, but I would like an updated Helicarrier, and if we got it anything close to the USS Flag from G.I. Joe, which is basically the size of a car, I'd be happy with that. No idea how I'm going to get that into my house, but like I said, I don't think about those kind of things when I make these decisions. I just want the figures. So there it is. So for Haslab 2022, I'm asking for a Helicarrier. Oh yeah. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for sticking around and watching my list. Decided to keep it down to one list, of course, or one video, I should say, just because I don't want to take too much of your guys' time, and I'm not really that consistent with this whole YouTube thing, but I do have fun doing this. So here we go with one last Excelsior. Let's ask Hasbro for some good releases this year, and from me, it's definitely going to be the Warriors 3 as #1, as well as all the other characters that I just announced on this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. You guys take care, be safe out there, and let's get some more Marvel Legends. Keep on collecting. Bye-bye.